But let's start with our budget big takeaways. Budget 2023, what are the big takeaways? No tax up to 7 lakhs under a new income tax regime. Remember, I specify new income tax regime. Tax slabs rationalized under this new IT regime. No tax till 3 lakhs. No change in taxes for exemption based on the old income tax regime. A 33% hike in capital expenditure to 10 lakh crores. Mahila Samman savings scheme with 7.5 interest for up to 2 lakhs. Senior citizen savings scheme limit raised from 15 lakhs to 30 lakhs. Allocation for PM Awas Yojana up 66% to 79,000 crores. 2.4 lakh crores for railways, which is the highest allocation ever. 35,000 crores for energy transition to net zero emission goals. Fiscal deficit target has been set at 5.9% of GDP. Listen in first to Nirmala Sitharaman and the Prime Minister.
Also making sure personal income tax, after a very long time, has had substantial changes which will benefit the middle class. And also because this country has been waiting for direct taxation to be simplified, also waiting for direct taxation to be a lot more easy in compliance, and therefore the new taxation regime that we brought in for direct taxation 2-3 years ago has now got greater incentives, greater attraction, so that people can unhesitatingly move from the old to the new.
हमने टैक्स रेट को कम किया है, साथ ही प्रोसेस को सिंप्लीफाइड, ट्रांसपेरेंट और फास्ट किया है। हमेशा मध्यम वर्ग के साथ खड़ी रहने वाली हमारी सरकार ने मध्यम वर्ग को टैक्स में बड़ी राहत दी है।
Read my lips. Fewer taxes, claims the government. But what really is the ground situation? Who better to answer that than first Udayan Mukherjee, Business Today's consulting editor and someone who knows the markets better than anyone else in particular. Udayan, what are your biggest takeaways from Budget 2023?
Hi Rajdeep, I thought it was a reasonable and credible budget actually, because there were many things to like about the budget. It's not one which will blow the lights out in terms of what it does to the economy, but it was quite solid and it was very, very credible. For starters, the one thing which people wanted to know from this budget or to take away was whether the capex thrust which we saw for the last couple of years from this government would continue, and it not only did it continue, it was a huge addition to the capex outlay for this year, from 7.5 lakh crores going up to 10 lakh crores. So essentially the focus on investments continues, and that was a very good takeaway for the financial markets and for corporate India. The other important thing was the fact that the fiscal deficit target was kept at 5.9%, down from 6.4% in this year. That sort of begins the journey to get to 4.5% by FY26, which is the path of fiscal consolidation laid out by the government. If that had not happened, I think we would have seen some pressure on the bond market and interest rates, but thankfully that did take place, and it was based on fairly credible assessments and estimations of income, because gross tax revenues are estimated to grow only at about 10%, and the finance minister has assumed 10% nominal GDP growth for next year, both of which are very reasonable estimates. So I think on the issue of fiscal consolidation and credibility, this budget was a good one. There was some fear in this budget that there could be some additional capital gains tax on equity. That did not happen, and the stock markets heaved a huge sigh of relief. There was even something on the consumption front, because there was some tweaking of income tax slabs, but it became clear or clearer on reading the fine print of the budget that that would only help people who move to the new tax regime back from the old tax regime. Now it's questionable how many people would actually move from the old to the new tax regime because of the kind of concessions they already use and utilize from products like housing loans and insurance that they've taken in the past. So most estimates are that more than 20% of people will not move from the old regime to the new regime. So the finance minister claimed that she was foregoing 35,000 crores of taxation because of this tweak, but in reality, the consumption boost to the economy would only be a fraction of that. But having said that, it was, as I said, a credible budget with reasonable fiscal deficit pictures, no shocks to the system, barring one or two like taxes on insurance, and therefore it should be seen as a fairly status quo to a progressive kind of a budget with no harm done to any particular segment of the economy.